The studio now, joined by the author and entrepreneur Bernie Davies for a new Face to Face.
Stand.
Good evening and welcome to Face to Face. This is the programme where I meet a prominent person in Welsh life to find out how they got to where they are and what motivates them now, what keeps them going. Tonight's guest is a lawyer and a businesswoman who tries to use her own successes and challenges to inspire others. Born and raised by her family in Jamaica, Bernie Davies moved here to Wales in 2006, and since then she hasn't stopped. As a TEDx speaker and a best-selling author, Bernie says she's drawn strength from the past to help shape the person she is today.
Temet Nose means know yourself.
She was named one of Wales's top 100 businesswomen in 2017 and Swansea Black Icon in 2018. In fact, Bernie has won more awards than I can count, including the prestigious title of Ambassador for Peace by the Universal Peace Federation. And as if that weren't enough, Bernie and her husband Mark are also parents to 6 children and 12 grandchildren. Bernie Davies, we've only got half an hour to talk about all this. Out of all the things that you are, lawyer, business person, speaker, parent, grandparent, what are you most proud of?
I'd have to say my family. I'm most proud that despite all the changes, the challenges that I have been through, I can sit here with a fantastic, eclectic, biracial, binational family. I love my 12 grandchildren, and some of them are made up of children of the parents who have broken up, but they've, so when they move on in families, we get those other children that they have as grandchildren as well. Amazing. So I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of my relationship with my wonderful Welsh husband. That's what I'm most proud of.
And I'm sure they're very proud of you too, and they'll be, hopefully they'll be watching and either cheering you or laughing or
laughing.
I want to take you back. As I say with this programme, we always try to find out what made people and then what motivates them now. So what made you? What sort of background do you come from?
Gosh, what made me? I am from a Jamaican household. Now, if anybody knows anything about, although I know in some Welsh families they are very strict, but in the African, Caribbean, and sometimes and the Asian cultures, you have a pulse, you do well. Okay, that's just it. So I was brought up in a very competitive household.
So strict and competitive.
Strict, competitive and sheltered.
Okay, sheltered from
the outside world in terms of, we didn't go, I could not run with the cool kids at school. I was dropped off to school, picked up from school, and if I had to walk home from school, I had a time in which to get there.
So very disciplined there.
Yes.
Was it what was it, a religious family? Was it a political family?
Yes.
What was the...
Well, religious, but also my father, he trained as a chemist, but he made his money selling life insurance. My mother was a university professor in the end, but she came up through the ranks as a school teacher, so you can imagine the discipline there.
So
and then my father
academic as well?
Yes, academic, very academic. And my father was also a minister of religion.
Okay.
So God has always been a very, very important part of my life.
And still now? Do you still have
still now. I attend a very fantastic church in Swansea, King's Church, Swansea. Shout out to David Morgan. He's an incredible powerhouse Swansea Jack who has gone through so much stuff in his life, but now he is just teaching us some solid. I get a lot of my content from him, I must say. Sorry, Dave.
Well, if he gets in touch with us, we know why then. And what sort of child were you? Were you academic? Were you sporty?
Well, the thing is, so you can imagine the family dynamics. I was 4th of 5 children in that kind of thing. So prominent, powerful, high-achieving family. And so you can imagine being 4th of the 5. But I discovered very early on, I was about, 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, when we had the weekly in-house quizzes. We had them. Maths, yes. excelling, multiplication and everything.
Quizzes at home.
Quizzes at home every Friday evening. And we would win the coveted, I would win the coveted tin of peanuts. You know what else I won? Center stage.
Okay.
No longer the little run. So very early in life, I understood then the importance then of doing well.
I think one thing that this program does to me is it makes me a bit of an amateur psychologist.
Yes.
So I spot things like that, and then
Yes.
we'll see where it takes you in
Yes.
the rest of your life. So you were encouraged. It sounds like was it a loving family that it was?
Very loving.
Yes. Okay.
Very loving.
You've said that at school, I think you were bullied, were you?
I was bullied because, of course, that whole experience growing up where I realized I could get to the top of the tree by doing well. When I went to school and, I didn't, come out looking like this. I was very skinny. I had knobbly knees. They used to call me horse knees. I didn't go to horse knees. I had natural highlights in my hair. They called me fox hair. I had big eyes, which I've grown into now. They used to call me frog eyes. So it didn't go well. But I also found my lane as well in being competitive and doing well in school.
Okay.
So I was teacher's pet. I was, to be top of the class. But so I was bullied. I was not really well liked. I was a bit obnoxious.
Obnoxious. I can't believe that.
Yeah. Well, things happened to change that.
Okay, which we'll get to. Before we do, though, I mean, it's clear that Jamaica, or the growing up in Jamaica, had such a lot to do with you. What does it mean to you now that you live somewhere else and looking back?
Oh, I am who I am because of how I was raised, the culture, how I was socialized. I talked about school. In that same context, I had some of the most caring teachers who instilled so much in me. And so I find that in the Jamaican culture, the diversity as well, it's multicultural. Our motto is out of many, one people. So I learned really early that, we all are one. So I never had the whole issue with diversity in Jamaica. So when I came to the United Kingdom, I came from a place of understanding the importance of diversity.
Okay, and given that you've talked about the doing well and the academic background, but you dropped out of university, so
I did.
Why?
I did, but see, that's the thing. That was the most important thing that ever happened in my life.
What, dropping out?
Dropping out.
Okay.
Sometimes we need to drop out to get back up. Because what happened to me is that I was following this route of thinking, oh, if I did, then I was. But we're not what we do, whether it's good or bad. Who are we? My mother used to tell me, in the cut outtake that you had of me, you spoke about you showed my TED talk. Yes.
Yes.
And my TED talk, I talked about temetnose, knowing yourself. I needed to know myself because all I was doing was just looking at what I did and not understanding who I was.
Still must have been quite a big decision because it would have been seen, I suppose, by your family and others as a failure.
It was not by choice that I dropped out of university. What happened is because I didn't know myself. I didn't understand who I was. I fell prey and I got pregnant in first year university. So I got a leveler. Something leveled me. But then I thought to myself, the optics do not look good. But I knew who I was.
Okay.
I knew how I was operating. I knew that was not who I was. So it taught me not to be judgmental. It taught me to value people. It taught me to look inside myself and be a better person, not in terms of how I was behaving, but how I was perceiving life and perceiving people. So it changed my entire outlook. So now today my motto is, we go together or not at all. So that little obnoxious girl who would would step on your shoulders and leave you in her dust now is the greatest proponent of let's come together.
And you came to the UK.
Yes.
How did you find it when you came here?
Well, I came to the UK because my story didn't end in dropping out. And guys, what I want to tell people is your story does not end because you dropped out. I was speaking to you earlier when I talked about my friend Cody Kapare, and I said I would steal her line where she said, when you go down on the canvas, you bounce back, but you bounce up. So that's what happened. Yeah, you bounce higher. I actually was going to be doing politics. I wasn't doing government and politics in my first year. But then when I came back to university, I did law.
And did you find, and we'll talk about law in a moment, but did you find the UK cold? I don't mean in climate. Compared to Jamaica, did you find it unwelcoming?
No, I didn't find it unwelcoming. And if it was, I didn't realize. I didn't, if there was any unconscious bias, I didn't see it. I came, I couldn't get work.
When you came to Wales, was that a warm welcome?
An extremely warm welcome.
Okay.
When I came to UK first, I was in Bradford. Mm-hmm. And I came because I had great best laid plans as a lawyer to do some stuff with other solicitors. It didn't work out. So I found myself homeless, jobless. And at that time, I did what I do every time I face challenges, and I tell people to do. Look outside of yourself. So I looked outside of myself. I saw that there were asylum seekers and refugees and Brits poorly circumnavigating the social welfare system. And I thought to myself, at the time, I was a part of a church who had a city centre block of offices. And they were doing outreach. And I said, can I please have one of your offices? And I got the office. I launched a charity.
So even at a low point for you?
Even at a low point. And that charity landed me my most prestigious speaking engagement to date at the United Nations.
Well, we'll leave that as a cliffhanger, because it's time for a short break now. When we come back, I will ask Bernie Davies about speaking in the United Nations, also about women, Wales, and what the future holds for her.
Welcome to our new home for the next few weeks.
You'll compete against each other.
One of you will become the first ever I'm a Celebrity legend.
Brand new I'm a Celebrity South Africa starts Monday the 24th of April on ITV1 and ITVX.
Sorry, miss, you can't.
It's okay, I'm John.
Thanks everyone. Couldn't have been without you.
Fresh UK dramas and iconic US series. Stream free on ITVX.
Bernie Davies, we left here in part one talking about at the UN. Yes. What was that like?
It was incredible. And you know, the thing is, I did something that was for other people in my time of need. But then there was a payback, because that trip was paid for by the Bradford Council, and they paid for myself and my daughter and somebody to actually go to take care of her while I spoke. And it was such an incredible experience, and it also has, to my mind, informed the way I have continued to work, because it gave me a more global perspective.
And that all came from really one of your low points.
I tell you, I tell people all the time, the best way to encourage yourself is to help others. Because you cannot tell somebody else it's going to be okay and not feel that for yourself. We've got to manage our minds. We have to be the CEO of our own minds. And I say, the first 5 minutes you wake up in the morning, that is when you have to capture those negative thoughts and try to come and take precedence. Because there's a battle that happens every morning you wake up for your mind. And he who wins the battle takes the spoils, and nobody's taking the spoils of my day.
And you've shifted from law to business. Have you always had a business head?
Well, I didn't think I did, but I guess that, because even with my legal practice, I didn't like this cushy job I got with the corner office, company car and all of that. No, I wasn't having that. I was dying a death. It was so boring. And I launched my own practice and did my legal practice my way, which is what I have been doing, and I've been telling people to do, even to date. My recent bestseller in 2020, I'll make that plug, Your Business, Your Way, is teaching people how to take their own uniqueness, because they are their best product. You are your best product. You are. And when you take that and bring that into whatever you do, whether it's you as what you do as a presenter, Adrian, or people, or even big entrepreneurs, that's why you have company brands, that's why you have company cultures. Because if you make that be the essence of your business, that's when you start to stand out.
And it strikes me that this is where I get a bit amateur psychologist here
Okay,
going on, in that you shifted from law to business,
Yes.
from Jamaica to England to Wales.
Master and change.
You don't really like being comfortable, is that right?
No, I am my worst enemy. But you know, if you don't have challenges, how are you going to have? I call challenges content creators, because if I'm going to help people, then I've got to actually grow. And there is no growth. How does a diamond come about? It's when it's compressed. So if you have no compression, you have no challenges, you have nothing that stretches you, how are you going to develop and how are you going to bring others along?
How are you when things are changing? So, for instance, moving from England to Wales, I mean, that was a big change.
Oh, that was incredible. Listen, man, I came down to Wales, drove through Wales to go to Chepstow in 2005. I was blown away by this beautiful country. Like, wow, what is this place? And for a whole year, this is a true story, up to 2006, I've been thinking about Wales. And I thought to myself, you know what? Why do you keep thinking about this place? Why not try to move there? And it felt as if when I signed up on a legal recruitment website, and as I pressed send, my phone rang. Rest is history. I came down and I was at New Law Solicitors as head of property. And let me tell you, I've got to tell you the story about myself and Wales, because I can't imagine, new country, new language, this Jamaican woman. Not even realizing that when my staff member rang and said that her train was stuck in Mountain Ash, we didn't have a natural disaster monumental proportions. You know?
You thought it was a volcano?
I thought it was a volcano. I was like, lava. And I said it in the open plan office. They're still laughing.
I'm sure they are. You've said that you want to encourage other women,
Yes.
particularly in business.
Yes.
Why do you think that's still needed?
Important.
Is it still needed? Because we think that things have got better generally, and
Might have gotten better, but it's really inching along. The gender pay gap is only 11.9%, coming down from 12%. You know, we have a far way to go. Despite the Alison Rose review for 2020, and which has been updated every year, and I've been following it, NatWest Alison Rose.
What do you think are the barriers for women?
Not getting investment, as the male founders. Female founders, it is already it's in the report. Female founders would bring to the United Kingdom an additional £250 billion if they were allowed and enabled to develop businesses at the pace of men. Since that report came out, in the 2022, 130,000 more female founders, and the last year another 150,000. But that's a drop in the ocean. It's set to actually grow at a pace of 33%. But that's not going to help if they're not getting the support they need. However, I've got to say, I asked the question, because it's a two-pronged thing. What is the support there, and are we stepping up? Are we leveling up? And that's the other question, because I recently got appointed the first black female to the Public Services Ombudsman for Wales. That's a huge placement. But I don't know if it's fair for me to say that they've only just opened their eyes to the importance and the value of a black female. How many of us have actually applied?
And it's the you thought, why not?
Exactly. I thought, why not? You know,
so the barriers are not self-imposed, but they're
sometimes. So we've got to just check: are we not stepping up? The last month I was at the House of Lords. I hosted an event. Little Old Burnley in Wales hosted an event at the House of Lords.
In the heart of the establishment.
At the heart of the establishment, bringing 4 nations together and the Commonwealth, people from the Commonwealth all over, to celebrate women and the mastering of change. But how did I do that? Because I had an idea, and I asked someone. How many of us are going to start having ideas? How many more of us are going to start having ideas and ask the question?
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Are you tempted to go into politics to try to make a difference?
I have been, they've tried to lure me. But, we each have our place in life. Yes? We each have our place in life.
Okay.
So I'm not so sure that politics is my place, but I'm certainly going to be one of the people, and I am, because I'm involved with Women Equalities Network and Equal Power, Equal Voice, helping women to, they're going to be storming the Senate soon. So we want women, more women in politics.
I hope you don't mind me mentioning, but you've just turned 60.
Oh, yes.
You had a big party.
Oh, yeah, it was a throwdown.
A throwdown.
It was a throwdown.
Well, it's not throwing down, but slowing down. Is there any, do you think you will ever slow down?
No, but why would I? I want more, listen, it's legacy making time, and I don't know how much time I have. So I've got to do all I need to do.
What more do you want to do?
To be what I need to be, so that I can leave what needs to be left.
Which is, what do you think needs to be left?
Teaching people and helping people to understand my famous quote, that there is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood lead unto fortune. And on such a full sea, we are afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. We need to surf up. We need to get on that wave. We need to ride. We need to take our opportunities, because we only have today. Now is the time.
I think you're making me want to jump on this table. What then is, I mean, we've talked about you giving advice, but what sort of advice would you give to young women? What would you say to the young Bernie, first of all? You called yourself obnoxious earlier on, but...
Don't worry. Fear makes us ugly. If we are afraid, I was afraid.
You were afraid.
That I would not find my place. I was afraid that nobody would notice me. I was afraid I'd get left behind. Replace fear with love, because perfect love casts out fear. So when we come from a place of love and wisdom, integrity and authenticity, we are miles ahead in this game and this race called life. So that's what I would say to young people. Banish fear.
And what would the young Bernie make of all that you've achieved?
She would be surprised at the fact that my greatest motto now is we go together or not at all. But I think she'd look and she'd be proud and she'd be happy, because at the end of the day, deep down, because I didn't turn into a new person, this person that wants to collaborate, that wants to bring people together, was in that little Bernie. But that little Bernie couldn't be that person, because there was too much fear that she would become unseen. So let's not worry about being seen. Let's worry about how we can be the best version of ourselves.
We've very nearly finished, but one thing I do want to know is, how do you relax? Do you ever relax?
How do I relax?
You all that long,
you know what? My life is relaxation. That's it. If you see me for 10 minutes and I have not broken into a smile, call the ambulance, I'm dying. Right? I'm always laughing. So I'm always in a state of I guess I'm rejuvenating. I don't rest. I had to admit recently that I'm not very good at work-life balance. I will rest on my computer, and that's what I call rest. So that's not advice I'm giving other people.
Not advice, but it's there. That's where we're going to rest this programme.
Yes.
Thank you so much for talking to me,
it's
Bernie.
an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This programme. Join me next time when I'll be finding out what makes and motivates someone else in the public eye. Until then, huge thanks to Bernie Davies. We're going to jump on the table and rally everyone in the studio. Thank you for watching, and good night.